Well, a wrongfully deported college student from Austin is getting an apology from the Trump administration. Back in December, we told you about Lucia Lopez Belloza. The 19-year-old IDEA-Runberg graduate was detained at the Boston airport while trying to fly home from college to Texas for Thanksgiving. She was deported to Honduras 2 days later, despite a court order directing the United States to keep her in America. During a federal court hearing Tuesday, a U.S. attorney apologized on behalf of the government, saying an ICE officer made a mistake. We want to bring in Congressman Greg Casar now from Austin. He's been following this case. Congressman, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Ashley. Thank you so much for staying on top of this important story.
Yeah. So from what was said in court, what's your understanding of exactly what went wrong here?
Well, look, Lopez Belloza is an Austinite. She's an American in every way that matters. She wanted to surprise her parents for Thanksgiving. The Trump administration tried to deport her. A court said, stop, do not deport her, and they deported her anyway. We called it illegal. We were right. The Trump administration now says that they know it's a mistake, and like you said, an apology, but that doesn't help anybody unless you go and fix what you broke. And that's why I'm calling on the Trump administration to let Lopez Belloza back to the United States, undo that deportation, which the Trump administration has the power to do. It doesn't help anyone for the Trump administration to say, hey, they broke the law, but then the Trump administration won't go and fix the law that they broke.
So one of the things I think is interesting in all of this is the judge called it tragic, noted that there was a problem here, but the government, even though they apologized, those prosecutors doubled down and said her immigration was lawful.
Yeah, look, there is a pattern of contempt for the law, a pattern of lawlessness from the Trump administration. They illegally deported East Austinite Lopez Belloza, a college student. They illegally deported, despite a court order, Kilmar Abrego Garcia. They have threatened to jail judges and members of Congress for speaking out and standing up. They even recently needlessly killed Renee Good in Minnesota, and now are using the Justice Department to threaten Renee Good's spouse and partner. And 6 federal prosecutors have resigned in protest over that. I mean, this is chaotic. This is lawless. They need to stop this lawlessness and get things back in order. And one way they can get this one back in order is not just admit their mistake in Annie's case, but let Annie come back home and get back to school next week.
Yeah, our understanding that she's with her grandparents in Honduras. Congressman, I want to talk about the mistake that was made, right? So one of the ways that this was explained was that the ICE officer who detained her did not activate a system that alerts other ICE officers that this case needs judicial review and that maybe the removal should be halted because there's something going on in the court system with that. That type of mistake being made, the government saying in court that this was a mistake, it wasn't intentional, that it was legitimately a mistake. Does this raise questions to you about training for ICE officers?
Well, when you start seeing patterns over and over of the law being broken, the Trump administration can't just call this a one-off mistake. You see report after report of them arresting and detaining United States citizens, deporting our veterans, deporting this 19-year-old that's been in Austin since she was 8 years old. And so if their system is so full of mistakes that they're detaining U.S. citizens and breaking court orders when they deport folks, then you know that Trump's mass deportation system is fundamentally broken. And that's why we have to do comprehensive immigration reform, not this kind of mass deportation system where we know everyday U.S. citizens and people that have done really nothing wrong, just like Annie, get wrapped up in getting deported or worse.
All right. Congressman Greg Casar, we thank you so much for taking some time out to talk with us about this case.
Thank you so much. We will stay on top of it until Annie is brought home.
All right. We'll have more news for you right after this.